Tuesday.
Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, wake up.
And then there were 4. Man. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another phenomenal episode. Great episode of the College Scouts Podcast. Javaris and Stackz, Delbridge, forever in the building. My brother, what's going on, man?
What's goody, man? What's goody? What's goody?
Hey, I wish I had better news, but you know, it happens. Life is still good. The world is still spinning, so I have no complaints on my end as well, man. So we're not gonna waste any time, y'all. Let's get into this recap of the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs, and I mean, just what a whirlwind of events to happen. Only one team that has a break comes out victorious, which is Indiana, and just I think a lot of people expected that to happen, but it's just, man, I think that just kind of starts to push the narrative of, hey, we got to really do something with how we shape and how we're looking at the college football playoffs as a whole, with the amount of time that's between, each game and each final and quarterfinal and, semifinal, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of time in between those games. So, either expand it or give them a shorter time to, rest and recover and all that, so we can get into more games. But yeah, man, one team winning is definitely unheard of and a bit of a shock. But I think that's what keeps the whole landscape of things interesting. So it is what it is. But,
yeah. I think in preparation. I think if you're gonna have that much time off, you have to treat it like it's uh regular season, meaning that you show up to practice the same way, you still do the same things you would do during the season. I think if you're gonna keep it that way, in order for teams, because I mean, I feel like Indiana kept it that way because they had a chip and they Kurt Signetti is kind of sort of like Saban, in the sense of like how he uh carries himself. So I think they came out prepared, because they're the only team to me that didn't start slow out of the teams that had the buys. You know what I'm saying? So I think he had them ready. Like, yo, we can't. You know what I'm saying? And on the other side with Bama, the team that they played, it was kind of Bama was very ill prepared, very ill prepared. I think that first round took a lot out of them, a lot out of them. And again, I said like they rely solely on Ty Simpson. So but yeah, it's kind of crazy how kind of the same narrative as last year. The teams that got the buys, except for one, uh, all lost. You know, so it's kind of it's just wild to me. It's just wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into these to the Wednesday game of the college football playoffs. The Miami too hot to handle Hurricanes and Ohio State.
Yeah,
They
well, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
might listen. They might be a little rusty the way they were playing on Wednesday.
Ain't no little.
But yeah, man. I mean, Miami's defense, bro. They have shown up once again in much needed fashion. I mean, Julian saying in that offense really couldn't get much going, and the defense was able to turn into offense, much needed offense from Carson Beck. As much as we've talked about Carson Beck, and his underwhelming. Some people have been saying he's been a little bit underwhelming, but I mean, listen, he's getting this far, and I mean, he's capitalizing on his defensive, the defense, creating chaos for opposing offenses, and that's what's helped them continue to put points on the board. So, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and talk bad about the kid. I mean, after of course, you know, as he kind of say, as people would say, he left us high and dry in Athens, but he's doing
I
well.
don't think he left
When
y'all
I
high
say
and dry.
when I say left, when I say left us high and dry. For him to transfer like in the fashion that he did, it was like, all right,
Let me ask you this. What would you have done in his situation?
I would transfer. I was trash. I would have got up out of there. I was,
Absolutely,
but I was
absolutely.
when I say he left us the way he did. I mean, people. He was pushed out. 100%. He was pushed out. But could he have made something work? I mean, if it was if we were living in a different day and age, maybe. But I think it was probably just best for that divorce to happen, man. He was ready to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. I
Abby was
mean,
ready for him to leave. So but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
done a lot better in a new offensive scheme and
I
offensive
mean,
coordinator
and
with
to
Miami.
be fair, uh, Gunner's first season as the starter was kind of similar to Beck's first season as the starter, so it's not really. But the difference is, you know, we haven't seen the second year. You know what I'm saying? And the product that Beck had at Georgia at the time. I mean, nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to talk about how bad of a quarterback he was. I mean, if you had the number one drop rate in the country, in that second year before he left for Miami.
Right.
Meaning that every time, pretty much, you had, you knew it was going to probably be a drop when you throw it. So that makes you the quarterback scared to throw the ball. Uh, it makes him have to feel like he has to make plays more often than not. You know what I'm saying? So then that means you force the ball more. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of the interceptions were receivers dropping passes. They being tipped up in the air, and then at that point, you know what I'm saying? It's not the quarterback's fault at that point.
Right.
And then you had a banged up line at Georgia. So I mean, like literally, like so you telling me that by the time you touch the ball, the folks is in the backfield. You can't trust your receivers. When you do throw it to them, it's a drop pass or a tip ball. You know what I'm saying? You can't run all day. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that's coming. So he was definitely forced out because fans was like he's trash and this, that, and the third. And Miami almost turned on him. But that's that is why quarterbacks get paid so much because they endure all the weight of a team.
Mm.
Team can be, you know what I'm saying? It could be completely everybody else's fault. The quarterback's putting it right on the money and everything like that, or the defense could just be putrid. Then who they gonna say? Well, this quarterback lost to this quarterback. No, the defense was just bad. I
Yeah.
scored 30 some points and the defense lets up 36. You know what I'm saying? You gonna point out everything? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We should have got a first down on this play. Like it's football. That's gonna happen. So, but with Miami now, I mean, he's kind of got the same scope of what he had the first year. A decent defense, which Miami has proven now to be a more than decent defense. Is a great defense.
Mm.
And now he's got good receivers, good backs. Good scheme. And he doesn't have to do as much. His numbers might not wow you, but he doesn't have to do much. All he has to do is not put the ball in harm's way. And that's what he did against Ohio State. He had no interceptions, not a lot of passing yards, but he didn't have to. When you got great running backs, great receivers that can get the ball in the backfield on jet sweeps and short passes that can turn to long gains,
Yeah.
and then your defense is good. I mean, I said he had to, you know what I'm saying, play a good game, and he played a good game. He didn't play a great one, but he played a good game. I
It
think it
was
was like 185 yards or something like that. It was less than 200, I know that.
yeah.
Yeah. And he had no interceptions, didn't turn the ball over. His completion rate was not bad. You know what I'm saying? So in the grand scheme, that's what you want. You don't want a quarterback to have to throw the ball 1,000,005 times. It's 11 on 11, not 1 on 11. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you should not have to throw the ball 50, 60, 40 times to win a game. That just means that you're solely relying on the pass. You know what I'm saying? That means you have no run game, which means your line cannot run block. So I think Miami figured out something pretty quick with that defensive
Yeah.
front. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and Keontae Scott, you know what I'm saying? Showed up that he was watching film,
Mm-hmm.
realized that screen, got that pick six, took it to the crib. That was beautiful. That was poetry in motion. So I mean, I think Miami prepared, and so to their respect, yeah, they came in prepared to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? They felt like they were underrated. You know what I'm saying? They felt disrespected. They made some plays, made it happen. You know, but they've beat multiple ranked teams in the regular season and now in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
this Miami team is for real. And Ohio State, this just shows you that it don't take $40 million to win a national championship. I mean, it don't hurt either, but you just gotta
Yeah.
have guys that fit. And I think everybody that's left in the playoffs have guys that fit.
Yeah.
Granted, they are making money, but I think they have the right selection, right chemistry. So yeah, for
Well,
sure.
I'll put it this way. Depending on which way you look at it, this is, let's say, the first or second real defense that Ohio State has had to face outside of Indiana. So Ohio State didn't really know what they were going to go up against this Miami defense. Like Miami's defense has did a complete 180 since last season. With the whole just catastrophe and complete like week by week meltdown of how that defense looked. Like it was awful. So you get 2 interceptions and 5 sacks on a Heisman finalist like Julian saying that says a lot about your defense. That says your defense came to play football. So I mean, again, that's what you want to see in a real deal defense. And I mean, that's what Ray Lewis has been preaching. That's what Ed Reed has been preaching. Um, who else? Um, I need another defensive guy from Miami. I think it's one more. I can't think of his name right now. But yeah, those guys have been wanting to see out of Miami because that's what they used to do at Miami. So, and I mean, Miami is known for being relentless, and that's what it was shown this past Wednesday. So, shout out to this Miami front. Hopefully they can get the job done against Ole Miss. And yeah, that's what you want to see.
For
For
sure.
Ohio State, Ryan Day, another letdown. You hate to
Yeah,
see it. So
absolutely.
we'll see,
Absolutely.
we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, man, overall, great showing from Miami. Do it again.
Right.
I like what I saw. I like what I saw. Um, and hopefully now this leads to even bigger and better for next season. This is what's going to
Right.
make the recruiting look even better for you for the upcoming season. Now you have some leverage. Now you have some some resume builders to add to to put on the table to have more people come and join this Miami team. So yeah, man, shout out to Miami. But I don't know what's at stake for Ohio State. I mean, you have a lot of those guys from that championship team leaving, going into the draft.
Well,
Um,
I mean, they have the money to do what they want to do. I mean, they still have their coach. Like I always say, to me, it don't boil down to the head coach. The head coach just sets the tone for the program, in my opinion, and green lights whatever call is being called. I mean, they have a lot of work to do outside of game day, in my opinion. But to me, the real of the real are your coordinators. I've been preaching that forever. Like, you could be the greatest head coach in the world, but if your defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator and the people around you are terrible, you gonna look terrible. You know what I'm saying? So it's I think Ohio State, and it showed because I mean Ryan Day took over play calling because the OC I believe took another job. So and it showed. You know what I'm saying? Not try to take anything from Miami, but when you have an offensive coordinator that's been cooking all season for the most part, um, and for him to not be calling plays or not even be there, that affects a team. That affects a quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the one thing about it, the whoever's calling it after he leaves doesn't have the eye like he has or she has or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they've been working together forever, so they understand where what makes their players comfortable, and it's just the little nuances, because you gotta call plays for your scheme. You gotta
Mhm.
call plays for the players that you have in there. Like, prime example, with Georgia, like Bobo's not gonna call plays the same with Gunnar Stockton as he would with Carson Beck because they're two different playing styles. Like personnel is everything, but an OC understands that. That's why I always say when a coach takes over the play calling duties, you know what I'm saying? It shows. Rarely, in my opinion, rarely do you see it be very successful all the way through. You know, because the last time Ryan Day did it, in what 2023, I believe it was. That time I checked, they didn't win no championship then. They got far or whatever, but you know, offense didn't look like it did. Or you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I think Ohio State will be just fine because they
Yeah,
got a lot of things working in their favor. It's Ohio State,
yeah,
much like Georgia and all these other big programs. The talent is gonna come just because of the name. And then you
right,
add that they still have the same coach. They still have the bank account that they have. So that's not going anywhere. Now as far
right.
as championship goes, this is a repeating thing. Like, with the 14 playoffs, they won the first one and didn't make it back. Well, they made it back, but they didn't win another one for a while or whatever. Now with the 12-team playoff, they won the first one and then they're not repeating. So it's like, I mean, I'm not saying that that's gonna happen, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot of back to backs. I don't think in this new scheme of things, this in this format, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of back to backs because it's more football, more challenges. You know what I'm saying? You got more teams, less uh low quality teams. Because before, you know what I'm saying, you got 4 teams in it. Two of those teams are putrid, so it's like one shouldn't be in there. The other one is not as great. They snuck in, so pretty much number one and number two are probably gonna get in there. Now you don't know if number one and number two gonna even survive. You know what I'm saying? The first game. You know, so yeah. I mean, I just yeah. I think Ohio State will be fine. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, we're now in the transfer portal where a lot of players are now, you know, calling new places home. So we'll see how they fare out in the final rankings as we get closer to the closing time of the transfer portal, and yeah, we'll see how they do. So let's go over to the one of the more shocking games, the more shocking endings. Oregon and Texas Tech. Very shocked about this outcome. But I will say this: we talked about it last week. What we said was the only way that Texas Tech will probably even come out even inches away from winning this game was if this offense did something, and it obviously didn't. Offense
Yeah,
played
yeah,
horrible, horrible, and I mean it's now Brandon Sorsby, the Cincinnati quarterback, has had to transfer into Texas Tech now. I mean, dude, I'll be honest, man. Morton has played horrible this season. Awful, awful, awful. It has not been great, and I mean the O line had not stepped up, allowed him to get sacked 4 times. But Oregon's defense has played lights out this season as well. So I think you just you run it when you run into these overpowered defenses, man. It shows. It shows time and time again, game after game. And I mean, a lot of people start to scratch their heads. Well, how did Texas Tech beat BYU twice? BYU ain't good either.
yeah.
BYU ain't that great either. So I mean, I hate
Yeah,
Texas Tech, man.
yeah, I hate it too. I hate it too. I just think it was the case of with that is just you had a great defense and an I offense. Then you
Mm-hmm.
went against a team that had a good defense that plays great. It's not consistent, but it's good. It plays great every now and then they have the offense to match. So when you have that combination and your team only has a great defense, what do? You tire them out. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Oregon did because the offense couldn't score. You know, offense couldn't get rolling to save his life. And I still don't think Texas Tech's defense is bad just because they let up 23 points. Because if Oregon was that much more better than them and the defense was bad, they would have scored a lot more than 23 points. You
Yeah,
know, and the fact
yeah,
that they just 21 skunked them. That's all. With a little cherry on top. That's it. But I mean, Dan Lannon. I mean, he's been in these situations before. He's a defensive minded guy, so the defense is gonna be ready. Um, Offense did what it's supposed to do. Um, yeah, they got to clean a lot of stuff up because I don't think that same stuff is gonna fly this next round. But I definitely like Oregon's chances. Hated for Texas Tech because they were having an outstanding season. I mean, they still made history. So, nothing to hold your heads down about. You still want to compete for a championship, and they competed for one. They just didn't make it out of that round, but they still have done some great things. Like, when's the last time we were talking about Texas Tech in this
right,
light? It's been a
right.
while. So, um, yeah. So I mean, I think Oregon figured something out. They came to life at the right time. And I think playoffs is just about hitting your stride at the right time and being ready for the playoffs. And the teams that are left, to me, hit their stride right on time. Right on time.
Yeah, I
So
couldn't agree more. But yeah, man. I mean, defense for Oregon play lights out. I think they got 2 picks. Shout out to Jordan Davison, running back for Oregon, 2 tutties. So yeah, I think, man, Oregon and Ole Miss is really drawing up to be one of those games where you're going to have to possibly get your popcorn ready, man. I feel like there's going to be a lot of explosive plays. Ole Miss is going to play a really good defense from Oregon. Oregon's going to really, see a really good offense with Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey and that the receiving core that Ole Miss has, man. So I'm really excited for this game come Thursday, and seeing how it ends out. Playing, man. Whoever wins this game is going to be playing for a natty come January 19th. So really excited to see how that comes out, man. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Like, is it Thursday yet? Like, I'm looking forward to it. All right, Alabama, Indiana. Yikes. Ooh.
well, what I mean, Ty Simpson, I actually thought he had got hurt, but he didn't
Yeah.
get hurt. He's got
No,
benched.
they got tired. They got
Yeah,
tired of
well, I hate that move.
that. Yeah,
Honestly,
I mean, let it
truly,
finish it out.
because this is why you put him in the worst position ever, and have
Mhm.
never acknowledged that. You He has no run game. The line is shaky. You throw it 40 to 50 times a game. You literally rely on him to be Jesus. And the one game, well, in the playoffs, because had it not been for him, in my opinion, they wouldn't have won the first round.
Yeah,
You know, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs if it wasn't for him because they wouldn't have beat Auburn. You know, had Ty Simpson not been Jesus. Cause literally some of them plays he was making, I'm like, bro, you running slow as crap, but it's working. Like, I'm just being honest.
right.
But you made him play so hard all season and without a run game, without a line, with inconsistencies on the receiving parts or whatever. And then you bench him after he struggles or whatever, hoping that the backup is better. Like, you're not Saban, bro. Like, that's not like, you know what I'm saying? Uh Saban had that eye for talent, and he had more of a complete team. Like, when Jalen Hurts got benched, Jalen Hurts was just, you know what I'm saying? They had him figured out basically. You know what I'm saying? So they went, and but Bama had all the pieces. Like, nothing was spotty about Bama's offensive line and all of that type of stuff. But you know what I'm saying? You can't do. I just don't like that. Like at least let him go out fighting. If he, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because the backup didn't do no better. You know, I would much rather you win. I mean, lose with the person that got you there than for you to bench him. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, yeah, I mean, but I said from the beginning that Bama was not a championship team. I wish I knew the guy that made that comment about us talking about Bama. I wish I knew your name because I absolutely stand by what I said. And I always
Oh, he's
said,
he's waiting for you on not Facebook, on YouTube. He was on our YouTube short and he said it.
oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and I want to see if you still think that Bama's a championship team. No, I spade is a spade. Like you not spade is a spade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, like Bama did not. They were cutting it. Like if you look at most of their wins are by the hair on their chin to chin this year. You know they had to work so hard. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. No game looked easy. You know what I'm saying? Everything was a fight. I mean, I know SEC is tough, whatever, but you know, at least some of the other teams that made playoffs that was in the SEC, they made some games look easy. Some games were harder than more. But every game that you've played has been a dogfight. So your luck was gonna end out. You know what I'm saying? And you relied so much on Ty Simpson, like that's at the end of the day. It's you got to take the pressure off of that joker, man. Run game got to get going. Somebody got to make a play. Somebody got to do something. You know.
Mhm.
So um, yeah, I mean, I think it's back to the drawing board. I think the board definitely needs to make sure he has a quarterback. Now you have to go get receivers and stuff because you know I think one or two of your top receivers are leaving. More than likely, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So now you have, and I think he needs to start with the line. So that's where they go from there and get that. They got a lot to do. Defense
Yeah.
needs to be rebuffed.
They're
Offensive line,
yeah.
everything.
They are also calling. I know Alabama. I've been seeing some Alabama fans. They're calling for their OC to be out too. I mean, hasn't been a lot of production done, and like you said, it's just they've happened to come up, winning in games that they probably should have either lost or should have been close to losing. So, they said they're kind of fed up with their OC as well in Alabama and ready for him to go ahead and you know get his papers ready to be out of there as well. So it's possible we could see that possibly happening sometime soon, or if not, he'll be back for another season. But I mean, looking at this stat sheet, man, it does not look great. I mean, if at all, I mean, we're talking maybe within, my goodness, 23 yards of rushing, and that's almost just as bad as what happened in the SEC championship with Georgia. I mean, just not great running the ball, and it shows that they really need you know help like bad. And so
Right, right, right.
Hollywood Smothers just committed there, so maybe that can get things rolling for them
I
because
don't think it's the player. If I'm being honest, I don't think it's the
okay,
players. Like you think well, there's these guys are not Barry Sanders. They're not breaking
yeah,
tackles in the backfield. Like it starts up front. Like
yeah,
you gotta have a line. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You gotta have a line. Like they can't set the edge. They can't run between the tackles. Like I mean, you know, they have to try to use them with the pass. I mean, you know what I'm saying, and something. But the run game has got to be better. Like I don't care what you say. You got to have a balance to take the pressure off the pass game. Because if I
right,
know you throwing all the time, why would I play the run? You know what I'm
right,
saying? And if I know you can't run, then I'm definitely not playing the run. Because I know I can stop you without playing the run. I don't have to stack the box and stop the run upside because your line is not going to block well. So I'm going to play the pass all game. And if I play the pass all game, no lanes are going to be open. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then if I'm getting to your quarterback without a pass rush and I'm only sending two or three linemen, you know what I'm saying? I've already won. I'm create because what you want to do, you want to make the defense work. But if I'm already knowing what your game plan is, I don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to work as hard. And
Right.
the offense, if the offense is working hard, you know what I'm saying, meaning that they are having to force plays and all I'm saying every time, it's not going to be a good day. It's not going to be a good day.
Right.
You know. So, and shouts out to Indiana for being prepared for this freaking game. They they were prepared. They said, "Y'all ain't finna upset us. No, we got something to prove."
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and I
saying?
mean, again, they've been playing really good ball this year. Excuse me, they've been playing really good ball. I mean, and really, this was almost like a down night for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, he came in through his 3 tutties, stayed under 200 yards, which is kind of not like him almost. That's what I was telling some of my colleagues. I was like, dude, this really felt like a down night
You
for
know?
Fernando
Yeah,
Mendoza. Like
absolutely.
he didn't have to play like really as hard as he usually does in some games. Like he was really out there very nonchalantly playing. It feels like. I
Right.
mean,
And
so
honestly, that's what you want. You don't want your
yeah,
quarterback to have to be Superman all the time. Cause that's where injuries come in. That's where bad play, poor decisions, and then there's confidence gets shot. Like you want to be able to not take days off or take plays off. I'm not saying that by no stretch, but you want to take the like you go get all these fast receivers and all these fast running backs, these powerful backs, and all of that to take the pressure off your quarterback, so that your
right,
quarterback don't gotta be Jesus. That's the whole purpose. If not, then why we have receivers? Like you want your quarterback to just all he has to do is throw it here, throw it there. He knows the receivers is coming down. Like you want that. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, if had he been under 200 yards and they lost, then I would be like, yo, y'all probably should have pushed the ball more. But in a win, that's what you want. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? As long as he was efficient, this kind of like Beck. The same thing I was saying with Beck. You want that. You want that. You know what I'm saying? Because that gives him confidence because he's got a good completion percentage and they all won the game. That gives your receivers confidence because they've done their thing, running whatever. Like you win the game. That's the ultimate goal. Because nobody remembers the losers. You know what I'm saying? Everybody remembers the winners. Like people will put you in the GOAT conversation because you won, even if your stats are not, you know what I'm saying, up to par. You know?
right,
So this, you know what I'm saying? Just like how with that prime example, like with Caitlin Clark, people like to not say she's the GOAT because she has no championships. You know what I'm saying? So it's like LeBron. Like he don't got as many, so he's not the GOAT. Like, you know, so winning is the ultimate goal. That's what you play the game for. You know what I'm saying? So Indiana did that and they found ways to, you know, do it outside of just their quarterback, which I love, and their defense is stepped up, made it happen, and I'm excited for them. I really hope they win it. All honestly,
mhm.
because that would be a great story. It'd be refreshing to see
Yeah,
somebody outside of the big programs win something. You know, I really want Oregon to win it just because they never won it, which is still crazy to me. But you
mhm.
know, everybody in here, I can honestly say that I will be happy if any of these teams won it, just because
Yeah.
you know.
I'm cool with whatever outcome. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Ooh, excuse me. Just ready
And
for
both of us can't be yawning on here, man. Both
man.
of
I
us
know
can't
it.
be.
I know it. But just ready to see the outcome of how transfer portal works out, and the rankings from that, and then just how we go into next season. A lot of teams need a lot of upgrades, and um, yeah, a lot of teams need a lot of upgrades, and so we're just hoping and waiting and seeing how the results pan off of that. A lot of good players in the portal as of right now as well. So
Absolutely.
it looks really favorable for a lot of teams, and hopefully they get the missing pieces to really start becoming that powerhouse. So yeah, so all right, let's get into the last one, man. My goodness, Georgia Ole Miss, Georgia Ole Miss, Georgia Ole Miss.
I'll let you
Right,
have the floor. I'll let you
right,
have the
right,
floor. Get it off your
right.
chest, brother.
right. So pending the outcome of this game, or after the outcome of this game, I'm not. I'm content. I'm very content that we lost this game. I'm glad we lost this game. Because once again, it exposed the necessary adjustments that need to be made going into the off season, as well as it really put a lot into perspective as to how Georgia needs to go moving forward, not just within how the season panned out, but just moving forward for the next upcoming seasons. Um, I've seen a lot of division within the fan base, which is, I guess, kind of warranted because of just in the fashion that we lost. A lot of people are saying, well, it's the offensive coordinator that needs to be gone. It's the defensive coordinator that needs to be gone. I've seen some people that say both need to be gone. Me personally, um, and of course, I've been saying Bobo needs to be gone. Of course, I've been saying that Glenn Schumann needs to be gone. But after seeing this game here, if you ask me personally, I feel that um, I've been leaning more towards Glenn Schumann leaving, only because there's no way you can allow 27 points in the second half to go up on the board like that. But realistically, I fought both coordinators because they didn't game plan well for this game. And it kind of showed its ugly head as to how last year when we played against Notre Dame panned out. I mean, you had an extra day to prepare. Again, like I said, with the unfortunate tragedy that happened in New Orleans, you had an extra day to prepare. With this, you've had over 2 weeks to prepare for Ole Miss. And
Yeah, way more than that.
you had so much time to prepare for this game, and you still just fell by the wayside. Like, you gassed yourself out in the first half. 21 points, cool. We get a fumble recovery for a touchdown, cool. Second half, all that just goes to dust. And so I just really have not been a real fan of Glenn Schumann. And I also, this is the even crazier part. I took the time to just do a little bit of background research on Glenn Schumann, and this may come as a shock to you, but and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really go into how things pan out or whatever. But I just feel like people need to know Glenn Schumann has never played a down in football, and I know that again that doesn't really say a lot. But Glenn Schumann
Oh,
is
it
a
absolutely says a lot. It
Glenn
absolutely says a
Schumann.
lot.
Glenn Schumann was only hired because he and Kirby worked together in Alabama when I guess Glenn Schumann was a graduate assistant, right?
Yeah.
Glenn Schumann is a film guy. Glenn Schumann was a great film guy. He knew how to break down film whatsoever. Cool. Kirby has been a huge loyalist, right? Kirby has been, we've seen it time and time again. Kirby is going to, always look out for the people that looked out for him, who he's came up with. Cool, so be it. We all know some people like that. But in this day and age, in college football, in the era that we're in the NIL era, in the college football playoffs, you have to do whatever it takes to win. If these coordinators that you have on your staff aren't doing what it takes to continue winning, especially after you have not won a single game in the playoff in the college football playoffs since beating TCU, which has been what 2 or 3 years now, that's a problem. That's an issue. You're going to start having some real nasty questions surrounding your longevity if this keeps up, and you don't want that. Fans are getting fed up. They want to continue winning. If you have set a standard, if you have set a precedent at the University of Georgia, you need to do whatever it takes to keep that standard and precedent high, that morale high. The guys have been huge on this saying, fire, passionate energy. There was no fire, passionate energy this past game against Ole Miss. And we throw a notion, and we know very well about it's really hard to beat a team twice, which is why I was confident in us winning, but I knew Trinidad Chambliss and the Magic Man himself, um, there was going to be some type of something that happens to where we lose this game. That's why I'm not really too upset about the outcome, but um back to Glenn Schumann, he's a film guy, and so now we're in the era where he's now at Georgia. He and Dan Dan Lanning were co-defensive coordinators that very first year we won the national championship. Now, if you remember correctly, um, Glenn Schumann was the inside linebacker coach. He was the coach for the linebackers. That was the same year DeAndre Baker won the Buckets Award. Now, granted, DeAndre wins the Buckets Award, cool. But now Dan Lanning takes the job at Oregon. Kirby is not going to spend no money. Kirby's not going to go out, find nobody that he's going to want to pay. He gives Glenn Schumann the job. And now we're here, present day. This man does not know what in the world he's doing. He's like a deer in headlights. His scheme and game plan does not fit around the Georgia front. It's not going to work for this this defense that we have. So I'm very high on on Glenn Schumann getting out of there. I'm listen. As much as crazy as it is to say, I'm gonna give Mike Bobo one more year. I'm gonna give him one more year because there's no question we're getting Todd Monken back even after the whole Harbaugh news that just came out as he's been fired from the Baltimore Ravens. There's no shot we get Todd Monken back, but I'm gonna give Mike Bobo one more year. I'm gonna give him one more year. As much as I don't want to, I'm gonna give him one more year. But Glenn Schumann has to go. We have to get back to the Georgia standard of defense, and it's not going to be able to happen with Glenn Schumann. Now,
Well,
granted, I will say this one more thing. I'm not going to completely say, hey, Glenn Schumann just never needs to coach again. I say Glenn Schumann needs to actually go to maybe a small group of five school or maybe, high school football, really learn, really develop his gameplay, really develop as a defensive minded coach, work his way back up into possibly being a power five coach. I think it's possible for him. I'm not going to say all like he just doesn't need a coach at all. I would never turn somebody's dreams down like that. But Glenn Schumann is only 35 years old. He has much more than enough time to actually develop into a phenomenal coach, but it's just not going to happen right now.
you,
That's my
you
thoughts.
said, okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, I'm not mad at you. I hear you about the Schumann thing, but when they made the adjustments at the end of the season, everybody was riding high and said, "This is what we're accustomed to." And then, and I know you said that the Georgia, Georgia culture of defense. Um, for 2 years, well, three, I'll give you three. The defense was completely cut and dry. That they were dominant for 3 years. So, and that says longer than most. But after the second championship, the defense was not like that. Like Beck's first year at Georgia until now. Well, first starting year at Georgia, first year as the starter. Um, so when people say Mike Bobo was the problem, I think we have to realize. I mean, we're fans. We're not in practice. We're not with these guys. I think you have to look at personnel. So if you have to fire somebody, I absolutely think it would be Schumann just because the lack of consistency, even without knowing that he has not played a down of football or whatever. You know, if you understand scheme, you understand what needs to be done, you can articulate that to the guys or whatever. But where it draws the line would be understanding what it's like in that moment. Like Kirby understands that moment. In this national and not national champ, but in this playoff game, I did see fight, and y'all just got Georgia, meaning y'all got hot first half, which is something y'all don't normally do. Y'all normally turn it on in the second half. This time y'all played a defensive minded coach, and the team that you played made adjustments in the second half, right? So normally Georgia and defensively, offensively, you are the ones making the correct adjustments. This time, the other team was the team making the correct adjustments. And I honestly, if I'm being honest, um, this is a high power Ole Miss offense, and it's much like the first time that y'all played each other. But y'all got after him. It's just uh he made better plays. Like the plays he was making, most quarterbacks not making. You guys had three people there. He just outran them all. Who reverses field after backtracking for 15 yards and then goes back the other way and throws a dot or shovel passes. That's Patrick Mahomes. It's like that's something that you cannot game plan for. That is one of those in moment, like, oh my God. Like if you watching it like this Jesus? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like one of those, like, bro, like you gotta tip your hat. I don't think that your guys' game plan was bad. I just think Ole Miss had the adjustments. I think Ole Miss figured it out. And I think that the quarter I don't want to mess his name with Chambliss. I think the quarterback uh just made better plays because you guys got after him. But he just kept plays alive. And the receivers and running backs, you know what I'm saying, made themselves available to him so that he could get upfield. So I think that because I mean they made some mistakes too. I mean I personally think they didn't game plan well in the first half, but it could be by design just to see how you guys were going to play. After the third quarter started, and I seen they made adjustments, I'm like, oh, they just was keeping it close to kind of feel you guys out. Because the things that y'all were doing in the first half wasn't working in the second half. So that's where the adjustments came in. Ole Miss was a different team in the second half. That's the same. You're on the receiving end of what it feels like to be other teams that play Georgia.
Yeah.
First half, it's like, God, dog, we hot right now. Second half, adjustments made like, God, dog, we can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And to you saying that they had 2 weeks to prepare, well, they had essentially a month to prepare. Um, that's a lot of time to be off and just be sitting with the fact that you had to play this team. So
Yeah.
therefore, not only are you dissecting that team, but that team is also dissecting you. And then you add on top of it, which I would give Glenn Schumann some grace on this game. Other games, not so much. You guys were thin at cornerback. Very thin. Y'all were playing like the second, third string guys. And then one of your backups got ejected. Uh and you can say next man up mentality all you want to, but the DB room is the least is the least amount of drop off. Like that's the most, like, you can recruit 10 DBs or whatever, but the difference between the starter and the backup is night and day. And you can go to any team and see that. You know what I'm saying? Because like receiver, you can have a great receiver. That's the first string. The third string could be a great. That's different. But as a DB, that is the last position that you want to be getting injuries at and having to fill and plug holes. And it showed because um the defense didn't get as many sacks as Georgia's accustomed to, but a lot of times Georgia benefits because coverage is so good. The DBs are in position like they're right they weren't like that, and then when you did get pressure, when you got third strings and fourth strings and second strings back there, and the quarterbacks get out of the pocket and they fighting for their life. They trying to figure out what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think Ole Miss had a good game plan. They made good adjustments, but then they also capitalized on a thin secondary. And what do we always say? I know what I always say is the one that wins the championship is two. They have good players and they stay healthy. And then if they weren't healthy, the drop off from the first and second player is almost nothing. Meaning the backup could very well be the starter and vice versa. So, and that's how Ohio State was last year. They stayed pretty healthy throughout the year. Georgia didn't. Now last year, Georgia was absolutely not prepared for that Notre Dame game. Absolutely not. They couldn't get nothing going to save their life. But this game, to me, was a little different. They were making plays, but Ole Miss matched it. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a game of two giants matching energies and who could keep plays alive. Like Gunnar Stockton, I mean, he had to fight for his life. He literally, got out of some sacks that probably would have changed the ending of this game, meaning that it would have been a bigger margin had he not got out of some of those sacks. So I mean, I don't think it's Bobo's fault that people say that he's the bubble guy, whatever. But when you got a player that is as fast as God, what's his name? What's his name?
Zachariah Branch.
I just drew a blank. Zachariah Branch. When you got a guy that's that fast, you want to get him on that edge on a bubble screen when he's got blockers and stuff like that. That is the dream play for somebody like that. But I think going forward, he has got to develop his route tree because he's too dangerous in space. Like most of the time that y'all throw him the ball, it's not a deep shot. It's not a go route. It's not a post. It's not none of that. It's usually a screen or it's a curl or a hitch route, something short, the way he could get upfield. Um, but if he develops his route tree, which I think that all of you guys, a receiver, has to do that. They caught the ball this year better, but I think Zachariah Branch has got to expand his route tree. The running backs I think were fine. I mean, y'all were gashing them with the run.
Yeah.
But then they figured that out. They figured
Yeah.
that out. Like if you look at the first half, run was working, and you guys stuck with it. You know what I'm saying? They had a balance. But Ole Miss figured out. You know what I'm saying? They started stopping the run, so y'all weren't breaking off as much. I don't think Georgia was ill prepared. I just think Ole Miss prepared better because they had a defensive minded coach as well. Like, and the fact that they were able to win up that game without their head coach or whatever, that says a lot. That this team was really good and it wasn't just Lane that was making them win. Because with Lane, they lost this game. And they made adjustments because they knew they played y'all before. And then they have film on y'all, not just from the game that they played against y'all, but they had film for y'all whole season. Right. So I think this game was a wake up call for not only Gunner, but for the rest of the receivers, for Kirby. Everybody was like, hey, we just because we Georgia don't mean, well, I don't think it's for Kirby, but just for the players. Just because we Georgia don't mean that we entitled to these games. Because I think essentially players come to Georgia thinking like, hey, I'm coming to Georgia, we're gonna win a national championship. Nah, it don't work like that. Like you gotta put the work in. You gotta be able to, just cause you have the talent and everything like that, you gotta be prepared, you know what I'm saying, and put the work in. And I think that was a wake up call for everybody. I don't think it's a huge drop off for y'all. I think that the biggest coaching change probably will come from the defense. And if not, I think that he's better. I think because, like you say, if he's a film guy, that means if you're a film guy, you're breaking down film. That means you're breaking down what you did wrong. Um, I mean, you guys got a couple players leaving on the defense, some on the offense, whatever. But I think that you guys are good. You just don't have you don't have that. You're not gonna have that defense like you had championship years because it was a different time. NIL wasn't booming like it is now. It's you know, folks played back then. Folks played for what was in front of it, what was on their chest, and what was on the back of their jersey. Now it's a little different. Like now it's you get some that's like that, but now it's money. Even though Georgia doesn't pay out as much NIL deal as most people think they do, but uh, yeah, I mean, I think you know y'all'll be good. Y'all still have talent. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you say it's a bad year or whatever, but every year it's not going to be a championship. Every year you're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Saban got knocked out sometimes. Saban won a lot, but he lost a lot too. I mean, he lost in the
Yeah,
championships. He won a lot of championships. He lost in the playoffs. Like I mean, let's not forget his last 2 years. They didn't do super hot. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you gotta look at the good. You gotta take the good with the bad. Yeah, y'all won championships. Y'all dominant, completely dominant for 2 years. 3 years to me, the defense was immovable. That the year after the second championship is a dip because everybody's gone. That was a part of that. You know, so everybody in there now is all NIL people. You know, so now you have to create a new standard. Like championship is what you want and what you striving for. That's it. But now you have to figure out a way to get these guys to go out and not just play hard, but be able to hold each other accountable. You need to find a leader. I still have no idea who the leader of that defense is. I really don't. And on the offense, I have no idea either. Like I have yet to see somebody get on somebody behind for missing the play. Like I did in that with that first championship team. Like so I think y'all will be good. And Ole Miss, I think they figured out something. They got some confidence. Um the line has to be better for Ole Miss because if they go in the next week thinking that that's gonna get it done next time, nah, y'all escape because your quarterback made more plays than he should have. Meaning those should have been sacks. Three or four of those passes that kept them drives alive should have been a sack. He
yeah.
just like I said, turned to Jesus and walked on water and made it happen. You know. So Georgia's fine. Ole Miss is gonna live to fight another day, but this is the new
Yeah.
college football, man.
I think
You just
so.
never know. You never know.
I will. I will add this before we move over. Um, it's going to be very interesting to see what a Mike Bobo offense looks like without having Cash Jones on third down. It's going to be very
Oh,
interesting to not
absolutely,
have
because we know it's a passing.
his cash cow. I mean, that is literally that man's cash cow to trying to convert on the third down, and not having Cash Jones is really going to challenge him as an offensive coordinator and really make him think outside the box and really get out of that bubble of get out of that bubble of having to be so predictable and so just vanilla with his play calling. So it's gonna be interesting. He's not gonna have the same guys. I mean, Zach
Absolutely.
Branch has already declared for the draft. And I know it's gonna be very. It's Oscar Delp has declared for the draft, so it's gonna be a few more guys. I think on this offensive team, this offensive side of the ball that declared for the draft, and he's gonna really have to start, thinking about, hey, how am I going to develop a better game plan, especially going into a new season where a lot of these teams are already going to know what to expect going into the next season because they've already seen it for 2 years in a row. So that's going to be one thing, and then secondly, you do have more guys coming in from the portal on the defensive side of the ball. We just got a guy from Clemson. And it's going to definitely we're going to definitely need someone to be, like you said, a leader and step up and make these and hold people accountable. So I it's been for the last 2 years now, and I think when you're finally starting to figure out and start to actually pinpoint where things are starting to fall apart, and then you look at it from the I guess you could say the chain of command, which is a triangle. It starts at the top with none other than Glenn Schumann. So um, I think once you start to kind of pick apart his misdoings, and then it starts to drop down, and then you start to figure out, okay, hey, we may need to get the top guy out to where we can actually start getting some more development done and getting back to a better place,
I,
because there's no reason why. I don't know if you saw a clip, but there's a clip of DeAndre Baker actually breaking down that miscue of the, hey, why do we have one safety high, where that game changing play happened to where Ole Miss went on to win. He broke that play down perfectly. Why is your player who you helped win an award, breaking down a play and saying where you messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing I'm talking about. You know, so
Let me
I
tell
really
you
hope
too though.
Kirby.
Good. I was about to say. I was
No,
about
no,
to say. I didn't want to interrupt you, but you made me think of something. It's easier to break down a play when you're not in it, right? You say why we got one safety high, but you don't know they might have been, you know what I'm saying, in that look or whatever, and they've been running other stuff out of that. I'm not saying that this is the situation, but a lot of times we look at it, regardless player or not, we look at it, you know what I'm saying, from our couch, from our house, wherever we're at, and we say, well, you shouldn't do that, right? But in the moment, they've been doing X, Y, and Z, so you think this is right. But as far as that goes, I'm not saying that he was right or whatever. I'm not saying that, but at the end of the day, Kirby signed off on because no play goes through without him giving the okay, right?
Right.
So you can't just blame Schumann because Kirby has to sign off on it. If they say we're going in cover 3, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Kirby can easily like no, that's not no. You know what I'm saying? If it's all about winning and that's what it's about, hey, no, this is not what we should run. You know, they've been in this all day. When they run this, usually this is what happens. Why we should not have a safety high, we single safety high, whatever the case may be, you know, he has the opportunity to veto that. And then on the flip side, what you said about Bobo, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, you always create plays and schemes for your personnel. Because I think, you know, people could give him flack, but how ready was Gunnar Stockton coming into this season? Like, for him to be a first year player, like a first like year starter, no, I give him flack or whatever, but that's just only to say that if he fixes those things, he will be dangerous. Look how great he became under Bobo's leadership. You know what I'm saying? Like Bobo has been around this game a long time. You know, yes, Bobo Screens is his middle name, but when the bubble screen works, my God, does it work? And a lot of times with Zachariah Branch, even again the Ole Miss game, he was keeping his foot. If he would have kept his balance on a couple of them joints, man, he would have been, you know, scored. So it works. You know what I'm saying? But I think what we have to realize is the timing of some of the plays. Like you in the middle of a game, you calling plays, you're just trying to get something going. And a screen usually is the best way without putting the ball in harm's way to get yards. You give it to your fastest player in space with a wall in front of him, and normally good things happen. You know what I'm saying? I just think the timing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, and you know, we don't know what was
Yeah.
being said on that sideline or what they saw on that sideline. Um, yeah. So yeah. I didn't want to interrupt. You just made me think of that in that
No,
moment. And if I would have said it
but
at
that's
the end, it would have made.
yeah. That's reasonable, but also it just kind of it feels like everybody at home pretty much was yelling at the TV when that play occurred. Like, oh my God, that man just literally ran a post route into the middle of the field, and there's only one man to stop him, and that was his defender. Like there was nobody, there was no help over the top to even because that ball 9 times out of 10 that ball should have been picked off if there was somebody standing over the top. So you
Well,
know,
if it was somebody standing over the top,
it's
it
a
would have been
micro.
thrown.
Right, exactly, or that. But you know, there's a whole bunch of what it could have, should have scenarios that could have happened if, or what could have, would have been done if this would have been happened. So you know, you can't change the past. I mean, it happened. It is what it is. Kind of just gotta live with the consequences. But now you know what to do if a scenario like that happens again, which hopefully,
Yeah.
pray to God it doesn't,
Have your
and you
goddamn
know what to do
backups
next time.
prepared.
But you know, it is what it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that too. That too. So you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm very content with this loss. Again, I'm glad we got exposed. Glad it played out like this. Shout out to Ole Miss. Good luck to Ole Miss. They got Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey back for next season. So and we got to go to Oxford next season. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Glad it happened. So hopefully we get to you know put some things in motion going into next season. So yeah. Before we get into the semifinal previews, I do have a question to ask you because this has been a burning question in my spirit for like the last few weeks. Man, have you been seeing the uprising of Big Ten teams and how they have been knocking off all these SEC schools? Like, what are your thoughts about this, man? I mean, it's something we've talked about on the pod, from time to time, but it's crazy to think.
Let me say this though. I got you, and I got you. I think everybody's happy about wherever region you're from or whatever team you root for, whether it be Ohio State, whether it be Georgia, Bama, whatever. We all, like me and you, we're from the South through and through. Both the teams that we like are in the South and they're in the SEC. So we always gonna say SEC is power or whatever. And championship wise, in the last so many years, we've had more teams over the conference win championships, from Auburn to Georgia to Bama to LSU. We've had more teams. So, that would be why I would say SEC is powerful. But in also retrospect, you got to think, for a lot of these teams, these Big Ten teams, this is their championship. This is their championship. Like, you think about it, Vandy. I'm not saying that Vandy didn't play hard or these other teams. Vandy wanted to be in the playoffs. Vandy prepared to be in the playoffs. And these other teams like Big Ten, whatever. But all of these conferences, I say that to say all of these conferences, you can say what you want to say. All of these conferences just ride the coattails of their big time teams. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. SEC's been riding the coattail of Georgia and Bama the last few years, and then a sprinkle of LSU, and then maybe one or two teams may compete for one. But Ohio State, Michigan were the top two teams at one point in their conference. Like, we're just as good as the best team in our conference. You know what I'm saying? So, it's hard to compare because we don't play them regular season. We only play them at the end of the season. Where injuries happen and being left out of the playoffs happen and this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but it's hard to compare conferences when you only see a team in a bowl game. Like, I suggest, if we're going to do that, if we want to compare conferences, put them in the regular season. Let's play the same out of conference teams, and rotate them, and then see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was the best thing for college football when Ohio State played Texas. I think that should be a thing. The top teams and good teams and big teams in the conference should be playing. Like, it shouldn't just be, like, for example, like some years, like when it was East versus West, the East was weak, so Georgia was capitalizing off a weak East. Not saying that they weren't good, but the competition wasn't good either. And Bama the same way. Like, they were in the West, but the competition wasn't as good in the West like that. They were just the superior. So, if we want to compare conferences, let's put those games in the regular schedule, not just in the playoff time and bowl game time. Like I think I honestly want to see Ohio State, Georgia at the beginning of the season, or Minnesota versus Texas A&M. I'll sprinkle those games in. We need more of that, not just conference. Like, we not. To me, it shouldn't just be conference and that's it. Like, that's the whole season. Like, and then the rest of the games you scheduling Mercer and Alabama State so you can beat up on them, get confidence. No, to me, your confidence is when first game of the season, you play Ohio State and you beat Ohio State. Now you riding high. You know what I'm saying? Because now when come playoff time, when the committee got to make a decision, they say, "Oh well, shoot, Georgia beat Ohio State in the first game of the season, or Texas A&M beat." You know what I'm saying? Number 5 Oregon at the beginning of the season. Like these are the games we gotta do, not just bowl games, because you can't. I mean, you can say that the record is this, but you don't know. Like you don't know the mindset of the team coming in. You don't know that like for example with Florida State that year with all their stars sitting out, and then they get obliterated by Georgia. Does that mean that Georgia was better than Florida State? To me, it don't. It just shows that the backups was better than the backups for Florida State. You know what I'm saying? I just think the power. I just think it'll be a better comparison if they played more. Like it shouldn't just be like yes, you have your conference game, but it should be more out of conference games too. Because then you really see who the best team in college football is, or who the best conference is. But that's just my opinion. You know, I think
Yeah.
I think the other conferences did well in the play in the bowl games. I'm happy for them, but it's called a spade a spade. These teams, this was their championship. Like they wanted to prove everybody wrong. You know, so that's my take on it. Yeah.
I just was wondering. I think because of course I've been seeing people, Big Ten is on the rise and on the come up. Which I mean, I think the Big Ten has been playing good, and I mean I think especially with
But
the uprising of Indiana and how they playing, and of course Oregon, and just how these teams have come into the picture of the top football playoffs. I think I would say Oregon. I mean I would say Big Ten has definitely made a big come up, but also they've had the money to spend as well. I'm not saying the SEC hasn't as all either, but they've had the money to spend. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
I think that answered my question.
absolutely.
So, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I think, but I don't think they never left. I just think that
hmm
the times that yeah, I just think they never left. Like it, I just think now they just added more talent because NIL. You know what I'm saying? They could compete with the Bamas and the Georgias now because
right,
who the heck wants to go to Indiana to play football? Nobody. But now you got money involved. I'm like, yeah, Indiana sound pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like you, $1.3 million go where? Indiana. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I ain't never thought about being a Hoosier, but I might participate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right,
just like think about it. Like think about it. Like I mean, most of these like nobody like most people ain't like I know from being from the South. Most people ain't saying, "Yo, I'm trying to go to Minnesota and play football." That ain't. I don't never hear that being nobody dream. Most of the people down here, they gonna say, "I'm gonna go to Georgia." Or I'm gonna go to Bama. I'm going to A&M. I'm going to Texas. Or if they get out of the SEC, they say I'm going to Ohio State, the big name schools. But now NIL makes those schools more attractive. Like let's be real, people only want to go to Oregon for the uniforms. like, like I'm being real. I know when I was like coming up or whatever. That's the only thing people talk about, bro. I want to go to Oregon because they just get all the good Nike gear. Like, so you mean to tell
yeah,
me that if people only want to go to Oregon for the Nike gear, they ain't gonna want to go to Indiana for the payout? And then you add that you have a good head coach. Like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah,
money talk. And I mean, I'm just being real. So, I mean, Big Ten has been doing their thing this year, but in the past, like, all of these teams are good. They have good players. It's just there are better teams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
some of these other teams is better. Like it's like the thing when we talk about who has the best high school players. You know what I'm saying? Like it just depends on what you're looking for. And then fit. Like if Indiana ain't taught us more anything else, it's just getting the right players. If you get the right players together, you can do some magic. It's like with Georgia,
yeah,
although Georgia that first championship year had a lot of 5 stars, they had the right 5 stars together. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what made those teams so special. I don't think they've had that since the championship the two championship. They haven't had the right pieces together, plus a good coordinator or whatever, you know. So that's just me. I think Big Ten never went anywhere. I just think that now they've got more talent to showcase it, you know.
Mhm.
So that's just my take.
All right, I got you. Hey. Well, let's go ahead and hop into these semifinal previews. Let's start with Thursday. Ole Miss and Oregon. I think this again. I talked about it earlier, man. This is going to be a very, very, very big matchup. I'm excited to see how this one pans out for Ole Miss and Oregon. A very great Oregon defense against a very high-powered Ole Miss offense. But I think Ole Miss's defense overpowers Ole Miss, and really does again what they did to Texas Tech just a week
Think
ago,
Ole Miss
and showed
overpowers Oregon.
Oregon overpowers Ole Miss. The defense, Oregon's defense overpowers Ole
Oh, okay,
Miss's
because you said
offense.
Ole Miss overpowers Ole Miss. Okay. I was just trying
Yeah,
to clear
sorry
that
about
up
that.
so I
Yeah,
can understand. I
Oregon's
got you.
defense,
Okay.
Oregon's defense overpowers, and Oregon's offense is able to capitalize on what Oregon's defense is. Oregon's the defense does. So I think Oregon comes out on top of this one because also I think Ole Miss is starting to lose those coordinators. The only coordinator I heard that is staying around is Charlie Weiss, the offense coordinator at Ole Miss, and everybody else is starting to go ahead to
Yeah,
head up to
because the
LSU. So yeah,
well, I mean,
I
but they
think
didn't.
I
They
think
only
I
like
think
the defensive coordinator is the head coach.
well, but I think they had some other guys that were there that they definitely that kept that team that
They
kept that
had, yeah,
team really
absolutely. They
together.
had they had
So
some right.
yeah, and I think Daddy Lane has said, hey, it's time to come home. so so he wants those guys up there at LSU with him now. So I think this is where the buck stops for Ole Miss. It was a great run for him, but I think Oregon takes this game and goes ahead to go to the national championship. So yeah, that's what I got for that
Well,
one.
I go to the other side of the sphere. I
Okay.
got Ole Miss.
Okay.
I got
All
Ole
right.
Miss. On the,
Okay.
I mean, because I think their defense is gonna be fine. I think the offense is great. I think, and I just think it'll be so comical that Lane Kiffin left to go to LSU or whatever for various reasons. We'll say whatever, and then Ole Miss wins a championship. I just think that would
Can
be
I? Can we
hilarious.
stop? Can we stop?
I
Hold
just
on.
think
Time
that would
out.
be.
Time out. Can we talk about how slow I am? I'm glad I looked at it. Ole Miss in Miami. I'm so sorry. Oregon is playing Indiana. Miami and Ole Miss.
I ain't gonna lie.
You both should be
I
there.
was like, was it
You were rolling with
Ole
it.
Miss on
You were rolling
Georgia's
with it.
side of the bracket?
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so
I
glad
was
I
go.
looked
Hey,
because
I was gonna
you
roll.
was man. Listen here. Ole Miss in Miami.
I was
Sorry,
gonna
y'all.
roll with it. I
But
was like,
again, I mean, it doesn't. Listen, it doesn't make a difference because Miami's defense is playing just as great. So Miami's defense is going to overpower
now,
Ole
if
Miss.
you saying Miami, yeah, because I was like, I thought I was wrong, but I was like, well,
Yeah.
maybe
Listen,
not. I'm like, but
it
I
it
ain't got
doesn't make
my
it doesn't
tablet.
make too
But no,
much of a difference.
yeah,
Right.
I definitely, yeah, no, I definitely think now. I think, yeah, Miami absolutely is gonna beat Ole Miss
Yeah.
because, yeah, I just that defensive front is just ruthless, and they got a little bit more speed than some of them Georgia defensive linemen. And their DBs have stepped up, so I just think across the board,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
Ole Miss's
Yeah.
defense has to play great. That's the only
Mm.
way to me they win because we know the offense is gonna be what it's gonna be, but I think they struggle a little bit. But I got Miami for that
Cool.
one.
All right. Now, Oregon, Indiana. Um, I don't think Oregon and Indiana have played each other this season. So this is going to be a Big
No, I
Ten
don't know.
matchup to on Friday. I don't think they've played each other this season. Or am I wrong? They
How great is
did.
that though?
Yeah. Yeah, Indiana. They played on the 11th of October. They played 30. Man, it was a 10-point game. Indiana came out 30-20. Wow, that's
Oh,
that's
well, I
man
got
to go to the Natty.
what a way! This is kind of Georgia, Alabama is
Yeah.
kind of sort of like you play in the regular
Mm-hmm.
season or in the playoffs or whatever. I mean, in the conference championship, then playoff, whatever. But yeah, I think Oregon wins it. I was gonna say I think Oregon wins it. Think Cincinnati like it. You get to this point semifinal. I think he gets over the hump maybe next year or in the future. But I definitely think that I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be a defensive battle.
Yeah.
And I think Oregon. I think Oregon's on top of that. Just even though I really don't care which one wins, but Oregon's never won one, and that's been one of my favorite teams you know that has never won anything like championship
Mm-hmm.
wise. So I'm going for
Yeah.
Oregon. I'm going for Oregon.
I
This is gonna be a
I
good
am going
matchup. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring.
listen. It is. So I mean, again, 10-point finish. Also, I'm gonna throw the notion of again, no team wins twice. Um, and also, man, I'm gonna second that, man. Oregon is probably one of the best teams that have never won it, and so I'm looking to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Dan Lanning prepares for Indiana and what they have a second time around in this game against Indiana. So I'm gonna take Oregon. I think they get it done and go ahead and punch that ticket into the Natty. And yeah, we may be seeing a Miami versus Oregon national championship, which
I
is
would
not
love
something
that.
you know.
I would love that.
I would love to see that.
None of this is something that
I will be grateful for that.
none of this is normal right now. Like
Yeah,
last
yeah,
time
it's not.
Miami was in the championship, I was like 6 or 7, maybe 8. You know, last time Oregon was in the championship, whatever. Last time Oregon was in a championship, obviously, you know, it went in my favor because you know Cam Newton reigned. Um,
Right.
and then and last time Indiana was in the championship, I wasn't even thought about, which was 1960. So,
Yeah.
and Ole
Oh yeah.
Miss the same way. Like so all of these teams, like I'm able to see Miami be dominant. I'm able to see Oregon continue its dominance and possibly win its first. Like that is just special to me. Like all of these teams have now won it in either if ever or since
Mm-hmm.
you know 1960 whatever. So yeah, Miami or Oregon is awesome. Two great uniforms going at it. I just love it. I love
We got a
it.
uniform wars going on. Of course. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I love Miami's
Looking
uniform, and
forward to it.
obviously, does the question is, if Oregon gets to the championship, do they have a custom uniform for the championship?
Man, who knows what Nike pulls out the closet for them,
Why
man.
not?
They
I
might
mean,
they
you know what I'm
might
saying.
just
I
have
I would.
knowing
I would
them, they will
absolutely
throw
love
the
that. Man, they
eggshells
just
on.
got about 30
They will
alternates.
throw they will throw them eggshell uniforms on just as quick as you can say natty, okay? They will throw them eggshells on before anything. So don't be shocked if you see them come out in them eggshell uniforms they've been wearing for like the last 8 years now. Just because. But who knows? They might have something in store
Man.
for us. We never know. But I think their main objective right now is just winning the game. So they just want to win, get to the natty,
Well,
win the natty,
obviously,
celebrate.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, that's
I
all I
want that
got
for
for us
Dan
today,
Lanning
man.
too, man, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a huge Dan Lanning guy. Not even of course, just because he was at Georgia, but also he's a great defense coordinator, and he has turned things over for Oregon. In the time he's been there. So yeah, I'm a huge Dan Lanning guy. So I hope he does get it. But yeah, once again, that's all I got for y'all today. It's been another great episode of College House Podcast. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us, talking some shop about the college football playoffs and how things have been going so far. We hope we have another one in store for you guys after the semifinals and going into the national championship game. Yeah, man, continue to follow us on all social media platforms. We're everywhere. Just search College Couch Pod or College Couch Podcast. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. My brother, take us home, man.
I appreciate y'all tuning in with us for this whole season, all the way up to this point. Continue to tune in, tell your people, tell your friend, tell your cousin, tell your auntie, tell their sister, cousin, brother, them. Cottage Couch Pie, where it's at. We appreciate y'all, love y'all, rock with y'all, man. But we got bills to pay. We out. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, I gotta go get it.